Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a quick review of these four curriculum. You probably have heard of Learn Math Fast, and you probably heard of Saxon Math, but you probably have not seen in a homeschool video Glencoe Pre-Algebra or this Pre-Algebra program from Elaine Martin Gay. Okay, these two up here are your traditional high school 8th grade through 9th grade curriculum that they use in public and private schools. I think these two are great. I think they are awesome in terms of how they explain and how the concepts and how thorough they are. And I think these two are good as well. But I wanted to show you side by side what they look like for a similar chapter. So let's look at Learn Math Fast. Volume 3 is actually Pre-Algebra. So let's look at Order of Operations, Pemdas. Let's look at how they explain it, okay? Again, we're going to compare the same concept, order of operations, between all four books, so you can kind of see my thought process in how I decide which curriculum works best for us in our homeschool. So here, I'm going to actually read some for you. So the child in this book here, Learn Math Fast, the child can actually take this book and read it and do everything on their own. This does not require a teacher to be this book does not require the teacher to provide assistance to the student. Now, if you're starting with volume 1 and your child is in the 1st or the 2nd grade, please don't give this book to your child and say, all right, little Johnny, go ahead and complete that book, complete those assignments. No, don't do that. Teach your child, sit there beside them, use manipulatives, read it to them, have them read it, do problems on the board, engage, be interactive, do it with your child. Now, book 2, if your child is in like 4th grade, 5th grade in book 2, yeah, they can probably get this book and take it and run with it with little to no assistance from you. But, to each his own, do what's best for your child. But this book here would be for a 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grader. It just depends on where they are in math. Again, this is pre-algebra. So for PEMDAS, which is order of operations, look at how they teach it. It says, you already know that the first thing to do when finding the value of an expression is to start with the parentheses. The next operation is to solve any exponential terms or square roots in order from left to right. Now, we are ready for the third operation. It is multiplication and division. Look at the above title, PEMDAS. This stands for parentheses, exponents and square roots, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. This is the order you follow when you are finding the value of an expression. It is called order of operations. Many people like to remember this order by remembering this phrase, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. If you don't like that phrase, you can always come up with your own phrase that has the initials PEMDAS. Okay, look how it reads. I think this is actually reading to the student. The student can read that and follow it clearly with very little questions. That's why I like this program. It is literally pick up and go. Teacher doesn't need to provide assistance unless the child needs help with an example, in which they can go back to the lesson and understand and reread to get a better understanding of how to solve it. And then it goes into an example and it talks about the example. Let's keep reading. The reason we must follow this order is so everyone gets the same answer. Look at the expression below. It is possible to get 2 different answers if you don't follow the order of operations. 3 plus 7 times 3 equals, what does this problem mean? So it's asking the student a question. And then it goes in and explains it to them with visuals. It says, here, starting with addition, gives you this answer. So it shows if you start with addition with this problem here, this is what you get. If you start with multiplication, you get this answer here. So again, it's showing you that you can get two possible answers depending on how you decide to order your operation. Hence the importance of understanding PEMDAS, right? And it goes and provides even more examples with different parts of PEMDAS. They give you division, they give you exponents, they give you brackets, they give you square roots, and things of that nature. Okay, so I love this. And then it gives you some more examples, and it dives into it step by step. And then you have a worksheet where they're giving you problems to solve. Okay, so that was Learn Math Fast. Reads to the student. Now let's look at what Saxon Math would provide for PEMDAS. I think it was, let me look back in the index here and find out where order of operation would be 96 through 97. So if I go to page 96 through 97, let's read Saxon Math, Algebra 1/2, which is pre-algebra, and let's see how they explain order of operations. Let's read it. There seems to be two ways that the following expressions can be simplified. So they give you this expression, 4 plus 3 times 5. It looks as though we could add first and then multiply, or multiply first and then add. So it tells you here's your problem. If we go in the order in which we see it, we would add first and then multiply, right? Here's the problem. We go in the order that we see it, adding and then multiplying. Here's our answer. But if we multiply first, here, 3 times 5, and then add the number, here's our answer. So here it says, thus, there seem to be two possible answers to this problem. Since two answers to the same problem could cause considerable confusion, mathematicians have had to agree on one way or the other. They have agreed to always multiply before adding and subtracting. Thus, the value of the expression above is 19 and not 35. So the answer between these two, this is the better answer, not this, because mathematicians have agreed on one way to do it. And then they give you some examples. They say, here's an example, here's your solution. So here's an example. They tell you to simplify this. And then the solution says, 2 multiplications are indicated. We do these first and then move from left to right, performing the addition and subtraction in the order we encounter them. And it says we multiplied, we subtracted 15 from 41 once we get that answer, and then we added to get 50. So that's how they explain order of operation. My son, and then after that, they give you another example and they give you some problems, okay? Saxon Math 1/2 is very different from, Saxon Math 5/4, 7/6, 8/7. It's very different in how they present but in how they speak to the child, right? So because pre-algebra is more of upper level math, I agree with my son when he says it's not 100% clear. Although when you read it, it is straightforward and you don't have to really read between the lines as much. When you compare what I just read and how they explained order of operations and what I just read in Learn Math Fast for order of operation, I will say hands down that Learn Math Fast explained it in such a clearer, more concrete way. And even in their examples and how they have the arrows and how they break it down part by part, providing complete explanations and how they are speaking to the student in solving the problem, I think it's much clearer. So far, if I had to compare Saxon with Learn Math Fast, I would say Learn Math Fast wins. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Let's look at this book. This book here is what I'm using to teach my son on our instructional days. So on our instructional days, I'm on the board, I'm writing problems down, I'm writing information, he's taking notes in his math notebook, we're going back and forth, and that's how I do my independent days. So let's look for order of operation here. Here it is, and let's see how they explain it in comparison to Saxon and Learn Math Fast. So with this book, they give you a goal, and the goal basically says, what's the point of the lesson? So here it says, you'll use the order of operations to evaluate expressions. And then it goes and talks about modeling with technology. This is an old book, so, the language may be a little outdated. But here it goes into detail and it says different calculators use different methods to find the value of an expression. A mathematical expression is any combination of numbers and operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. To evaluate an operation, you find the numerical value. The value for each of the expression below was found in two different calculators. Okay, so they're basically showing, or first, they're giving you definitions. That's what I like. They're giving you definitions. They're giving you vocabulary words to understand what we're doing, right? Saxon Math didn't do that. And the Learn Math Fast didn't give you foundational information. Saxon Math, straight into it. Learn Math Fast, straight into it with lots of details, step by step, spoke to the student. But with this book, they're speaking to the student and they're introducing the concept using foundational terminology and definitions. I love that. Okay. So let's go into learning the concept. Let's skip all that here. Let's go into learning the concept. So here it says, there are two methods that someone might use to find the value of an expression that contains more than one operation. Consider the expression 8 plus 5 times 2. Method 1. They give you the method, and they're basically saying we're going to multiply first, then add. The second method, the same expression, if you add first and then multiply, you get an answer. Okay? We've seen that in the other two curriculums that I just showed you. It continues. In order to avoid confusion, mathematicians established the order of operation to tell us how to find the value of an expression. First, do all multiplication and division from left to right. Second, do all addition and subtraction from left to right. It continues. The order of operation guarantees that each numerical expression has a unique value. Using the order of operation, the correct value of the expression 8 plus 5 times 2 is 18. Okay? And then they give you an example. And as you can see with the example they give you, they explain what you're doing for the problem. Okay? And then they go into more foundational terminology. The order of operations can be changed by using grouping symbols like parentheses and brackets. The value of the expression is found by performing the operations in those grouping symbols first. Okay, and then at the bottom here, they give you some things to remember in this call out box here. It says do all operations within grouping symbols first, and we just learned through our vocabulary what the grouping symbols are, parentheses and brackets, and then start with the innermost grouping symbol, and then it says next do all multiplication and division left to right, then addition and subtraction left to right, and so forth and so on. And then again, it gives you some more information, and then they give you some more examples, and then you go into check your understanding, communicating math. And this is why I wanted to use this for our teaching, because it helped me to have a conversation with my son about math. And that's what I appreciate about this curriculum here. I wouldn't give my son this curriculum to say, hey, go do it. But I think this is a great way to teach your child. So after you introduce the foundational information through the vocabulary words, making sure they understand the parts and the pieces to understanding the concept, then you can go ahead and do some examples and practice problems, right? And then you can discuss everything you've learned. So it says, read and study the lesson to answer these questions. So I would do this out loud with my son. I would say, based on what we learned just now, as an example of what I just read, identify the first operation you perform when evaluating the expression 13 plus 1 divided by 4. And my son would say, well, because 13 plus 11 is in parentheses, I would do that first, get my answer, divided by 4, blah, 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 right? Number 2, I would ask him the question, are the expressions 9 and in parentheses 4 plus 3, and if I just do 9 times 4 plus 3, equivalent? Explain. So I would write this on the board and ask him, are these two expressions the same? Are they equivalent? Why or why not? Talk to me about it. Number 3, he's making a diagram to explain how to evaluate a problem that has multiple steps. Number 4, he's going to write an expression involving multiple operations. Number 5, it says play with a partner. So a quick little interactive activity that we would be doing. And then we would do some more practice, and it gives you a word problem. And then they have independent practice here. Okay. But again, my son would not do these here because I'm not using this curriculum for independent work. I'm using it to teach him the concepts through vocabulary and walk through all of this stuff together on the board, having conversation back and forth. That's why I love this book, guys. And it works like that for every single chapter. So that's why I like this book to teach. And then this book, because it speaks to the student so clearly, he will be able to do his independent work from this book without my assistance. Can he use the knowledge that he's learned from what I've taught him, along with the instructions that are given to him in this book, to solve the problems in this book here? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can see the difference between Saxon Math, Learn Math Fast, and the book that I use to teach from for pre-algebra. Now let's talk about this, which is our main curriculum. Let me read to you the same thing, order of operations. What does order of operations look like within this book here? Remember, this book here is our core curriculum. This is where I'm assigning him specific problems to do. We're using it for the purpose of tracking grades, giving grades. His quizzes are in here. His tests are in here. His reviews, both chapter and cumulative reviews, are all in here. So let me show you an example of Pemdas. So here's the chapter of order of operations. This chapter discusses exponents and order of operations, but let's focus on order, Pemdas, since we did that for the other books. Let's start. It starts off here. I'm reading from here. It says, suppose that you are in charge of taking inventory at a local bookstore. An employee has given you the number of a certain book in stock as the expression 3 plus 2 times 10. To calculate the value of this expression, do you add first or multiply first? If you add first, the answer is 50. If you multiply first, the answer is 23. Mathematical symbols wouldn't be very useful if two values were possible for one expression. Thus, mathematicians have agreed that given a choice, we multiply first. And then it gives you the example and shows you if you multiply first, what you get. And then once you add everything, that's your answer. And then it gives you a little summary of the order of operations. Number 1, Perform all the operations within grouping symbols, such as parentheses and brackets. Evaluate each expression with exponents. Multiply or divide in order from left to right. Add or subtract in order from left to right. And then they give you an example here. For example, using the order of operations, let's evaluate, gives you a problem, and then it goes through the steps of evaluating that specific problem. And then they give you another example. And they go through the steps, example, so forth and so on, all the way down. And then they give you practice problems here on the side. So here is the example that they're giving you. And here's a practice problem for you to do on your own. Here's an example. Do this on your own. Example, do it on your own. Example, do it on your own. Example, and do it on your own based on what the example was. And then here are the answers for all the problems that you did on your own based on each and every example they gave you. I love that. This allows the student to see side by side how to do each individual problem. Here is how to do this type of problem. Do it on your own. Practice. And they go back and forth. I love that. Okay. So this is a reason why I like this curriculum for my son to use on his own. What I just read, I think is straightforward. It's easy to understand. It's not as easy and clear and concise as Learn Math Fast, because remember, Learn Math Fast is like speaking it to you in layman's terms, nothing fancy. This one is speaking to the student, assuming that the student is probably in an upper grade, in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, the word choices that they use, okay? But again, I like this because the student is able to understand it and they're able to look at an example, walk through it, and then do their own problem here. Do the problem here and follow these steps to see if you get the answer down here, okay? And then again, another problem, same method, and then they show you how to do it on a calculator. How do we solve a order of operation on a calculator? And then they give you a set of practice problems. When you see the symbol here, DVD or CD-ROM, you pop in the CD, and then the instructor will literally explain how to do these problems. This one here, here's one here, here is one here. They show you exactly how to do the problem, so you will also have another visual as well. One downside to this is that my son looks at it and he's like, what? 97 problems? That's a lot, Mom. But I don't assign him 97 problems. He's getting 20 to 30 problems to complete. Okay? So this here, our main curriculum, comes with a separate solutions manual. Not just an answer key, but a solutions manual where it's almost as thick as this, where it solves every single problem step by step, which is another plus for this curriculum here. Let me show you the ISBN number so you can take that down. And it's by Pearson and Prentice Hall. This book here gives you an answer key. Well, an answer key / solutions manual. Answer keys normally just give you the straight answer. Solutions manual explains how they got the answer. So here is an example of the answer key. As you can see, this is just a straight answer key. Sometimes it gives you the solution step by step, and as you can see, step by step, and sometimes it just gives you the answer. I don't really like books that gives you the answer. The only missing component to this book here is, not being a complete solutions manual for every single question. See here, they break everything out. Perfect. They give you the perfect solution. I love it. That's what I like. That's what I'm looking for. I just don't want the answer, because once you get into, I would say, 5th grade math and up, you need to understand how to explain step by step how to solve every single problem and have your students solve them step by step. And you can quickly find out, and they can quickly find out why they got something wrong. Okay. So this is pretty good. It gives you I will say this is a solutions manual. Yeah. See here, although here I would have liked this to say exponential notation. 6 to the 6 cubed means 6 times 6 times 6. And I would have liked it to say 6 times 6 is 36. 36 times 6 is 216. That's how I would like for them to explain it. So this for me is an answer key, but for this to have been a solution showing incremental steps, it would have said what I just stated. Okay. I hope this video was beneficial. I hope you understand how these 4 different books, how they explain the same concept a little bit differently. And depending on how your student learns, this is how you would decide what would potentially work best. Is something better for you to teach? If you're actually going to teach your student, stand there next to them, go on the board and facilitate the learning. If you're going to do that, what type of curriculum do you want to use? You don't have to have a separate curriculum, guys. You can use the same book that the student is learning from, right? If they're going to be independent, then what type of book works best? If they are someone that needs something online, they like game style or online type of learning, then you may want to do like a Prodigy or a Beast Academy. For pre-algebra, you definitely want to stick with Beast Academy level 5. If they want to do a teaching textbooks or something like that, then that's going to be visually appealing to them. My son is also doing teaching textbooks because he likes the online gaming type stuff. He likes to learn that way. So teaching textbooks is going to be something that he'll be using as supplement. You know, he's grounded, nothing to do. He's bored. He doesn't know what to do with himself. Go and do teaching textbooks online. So he enjoys it. He gets his math. It's used for straight practice. He does the lessons and the test. I do not track it for grades. Okay. It's just for practice. I track the grades on this curriculum here since it is his core. And I do track the grades for this curriculum here. So out of all of these for our homeschool, I'm using this. He will read on his own. I will assign him problems. He will have tests. He will have chapter reviews, and he will have cumulative reviews, all found in this book. He will do this completely on his own on a separate day. And for the worksheets that are provided here, I will keep track of grades. I use this for strictly teaching, and this we are no longer using. After finding this here and using this to teach, this right here, it can go away. Okay. Still going to keep it because with every child, their learning style may be different. My other 2 children, they're like infant and toddler. So we have a long way to go. But, we can still keep it in our homeschool, and I can pull problems from it if I need to. If I find that one of these 3 curriculums curricula are not, providing the substance that we need, maybe I can find it in here. But that's what I look for. I look for what meets our goals and our objectives in our homeschool based on what we're doing in any particular year. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned how to look at curriculum and decide what will potentially work best. And I hope I've given you something to think about. As always, guys, be blessed and make it a great day. Bye.